just because a mattress is supportive doesn't mean it's providing pressure relief and comfort. The floor is supportive, but you don't really want to sleep on the floor. So we need a mattress that's able to keep the spine in a neutral alignment, but it still has to be comfortable. And I think here this overlaps a little bit with the firmness as well, where we need a mattress that again matches what's right for our sleeping positions and body types, but also preferences. So really think about what type of feel do you like to sleep on? And so going into a store could definitely help here. And think about when you're lying in different positions. Really focus on your body. Are you feeling pressure build up in the lower back and the shoulders and the hips on your side? Different body types, different weights, and different preferences will change a little bit on sort of where those pressure points can build up. But we really want to make sure, again, we are shopping for mattresses that are at a reasonable quality level because those are the ones that are going to create the best overall pressure relief profile, have sort of robust, high quality materials, and then also are tuned to your body's specific needs and preferences.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Sleep Like a Boss podcast. I'm your host, Annika Carroll, and I'm super excited to have somebody here today, Derek Hales. He is the founder of NapLab, and believe it or not, his job is mattress testing, which is awesome. Derek, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege and an honor. Thank you.
I'm excited because we haven't talked about mattresses in a long time on the blog, even or on the podcast. It's a very important topic and it is confusing out there. So you are somebody who tries to shed some light and gets people guidance, and you have tested way over 300 mattresses by now. So you really know what's out there. And I'm so happy to have you, but I need to understand how this started. How does someone make mattress testing their profession?
Yeah, I don't know how you would intentionally do it. For me, it was really just a happy accident. It really just kind of got started when I got married. My wife and I needed a new bed. We got married and we're sleeping on my ancient full size spring mattress, and it's pretty tight. So we were in the market for a new bed immediately. We knew we wanted to get a king size. We wanted to get something nice. So we did the whole sort of in-store experience. We went and tried beds, and we found plenty we liked. Some memory foam mattresses, memory foam hybrids. But prices were five, six, $7,000. We were a young married couple with no money, and so it was just way really out of budget. So we ended up taking a chance on sort of this new breed of mattress. So this was in 2014, right as sort of some of the online brands were kind of just getting their start. So we tried one of those brands. Wasn't a good fit, but we were able to return it, tried another brand. It was a little bit better. And sort of in this process, sort of going through the in-store experience and then trying a few different online beds, I had sort of accumulated all of this sort of research and notes. I'm super nerdy about just sort of documenting like what I'm experiencing, like what are the prices like, what are the features, how do they compare? And I took all this information and really just kind of like as a hobby fun project on a weekend, threw it up onto a website. We did a couple of reviews, some comparisons. I put some of my notes about the shopping experience, and it really just struck a chord very quickly with a lot of our users. There was clearly a lot of interest in this, and so our users kept asking us to review more. We kept saying yes. And fast forward 10 years later, we've tested just over 400 different mattresses from every conceivable mattress type and brand and company, and tried to build really a resource that can help shoppers, find a mattress that really fits their needs, preferences, and budget.
Wow. And you testing mattresses at NapLab is probably a bit of a different process than us shopping for mattresses at a mattress store. So you actually, how do you test the mattresses?
So we've developed a battery of objective and data-driven tests. So uh, shopping for mattresses is really difficult. You go in, you lay on a mattress, and you say, "Oh, well, this feels soft or too firm, or maybe this one is right." Or it's really hard to, I think, understand what your body is feeling and what you're going to like long term.
Mhm.
So we really try to look at factors individually, like how much sinkage does this thing have, how much firmness, what's the bounce like? What's the motion transfer? What's the sex performance? What's the support? What's the cooling? And we take as many objective and data-driven tools as possible to quantify those numbers. So it's not enough to just say that motion is low or motion transfer is high. We use an accelerometer to objectively say, okay, this one has 10.60 meters per second squared acceleration range. But this one only has 12, or this one has 12. This one only has 6. So we can quantifiably say this is better, this is worse. And for as many of our tests as possible, we try to bring that quantifiable information so that when people are shopping and trying to compare, they can quickly see, okay, this one has the things that are important to me. I've got to have something with low motion and the best cooling and the best edge support because I think those are really important for me as a sleeper. Whereas somebody over here might say, okay, I need the softest bed possible with a ton of sinkage and just maximum pressure relief. And we try to just arm our readers and our users with the tools and the information and the data so that they can make an informed decision that aligns with what they actually need.
Awesome. Um, how do I know that I should go and buy a new mattress? When is it time?
First and foremost, I think assess your sleeping. Are you sleeping poorly? Are you going to bed without pain and then waking up with pain? Are you restless during the night? And there are a ton of reasons why you could be sleeping poorly. But I think really taking a look at your mattress and understanding, is this mattress contributing to my lack of sleep, to more restfulness, to waking up during the night? If so, then I think it's always a good time to consider making an upgrade. Beyond that, I think looking at the age of the mattress. As a general rule, 8 to 10 years is about how long most mattresses last. So if your mattress is in that range, and especially if you're also not sleeping well, then it's usually a good time to go ahead and make the switch.
Okay. And if we just looked at, because there are so many factors, and we're going to go into the factors, but like the top three qualities that a mattress should have for you, like when you're looking for one, is that something you could list?
Definitely. Definitely. So I think number one, firmness. We want the firmness to match what your body needs. Most sleepers need a firmness in the medium to medium firm range. If you are a little bit heavier, you might want a little bit firmer. If you're a little bit lighter weight, you might want a little bit softer. If you are a side sleeper, you might want a little bit softer. If you are a stomach sleeper, a little bit firmer. But most of us are in that medium to medium firm range. So really thinking about what your body needs, what your sleeping position needs, and then consider your specific preferences as well. Do you like soft? Do you like firm? Do you like medium? So I think that certainly is the most important thing that I look for. I think then number two, just sort of quality of the mattress, and this really just gets into like, can this mattress support me for a reasonable number of years? Is it going to last? Mattresses come as cheap as a few $100, as expensive as, 5, 10, 20, even, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most of us do not need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. The sweet spot is for most of us, I think around $1,500 for a queen size gets sort of the maximum amount of performance and quality before really diminishing returns begin. So you want to make sure you are looking for a quality mattress at a price point in which brands are able to get as much of the sort of material quality, mattress design, and sort of features that are going to provide for durability and longevity and provide, again, just a robust support for the mattress. I say the last big thing that I look for is just pressure relief. Just because a mattress is supportive doesn't mean it's providing pressure relief and comfort. A floor is supportive, but you don't really want to sleep on the floor. So we need a mattress that's able to keep the spine in a neutral alignment, but it still has to be comfortable. And I think here this overlaps a little bit with the firmness as well, where we need a mattress that again matches what's right for our sleeping positions and body types, but also preferences. So really think about what type of feel do you like to sleep on? And so going into a store can definitely help here. And think about when you're lying in different positions, really focus on your body. Are you feeling pressure build up in the lower back and the shoulders and the hips on your side? Different body types, different weights, and different preferences will change a little bit on sort of where those pressure points can build up. But we really want to make sure, again, we are shopping for mattresses that are at a reasonable quality level because those are the ones that are going to create the best overall pressure relief profile, have sort of robust, high quality materials, and then also are tuned to your body's specific needs and preferences.
Awesome. Can we go a little bit more because you just touched on it? Pressure relief is one thing, and then you were talking about the spine. So because if I'm somebody, if I go to a store, there might be a salesperson there who knows these things and looks for that. But if I'm somebody who shops online and then tries this at home, like what am I looking for in terms of the spine on the bed?
Sure. So ideally, we want the spine to lie in a sort of what's called a neutral spinal alignment. All this really means is the spine from sort of the bottom of your spine up to the top is in a neutral line, that we aren't seeing sort of the spine dip, sort of in the middle of the mattress, which can happen if it's sagging or it's old or it's too soft. Conversely, we do want to still have enough sort of sinkage and pressure relief in that middle of the mattress so that the spine, when you are on your hips, can be brought into, again, a neutral spinal alignment. This is why a lot of side sleepers need something that's just a touch softer so that the hips are able to sort of drop down a little bit. Otherwise, it can push that out and create pressure points in the hip. The same thing sort of can happen with stomach sleepers, but kind of going with the opposite, where if you are a stomach sleeper and there's not enough support in the middle of the mattress, or it is simply too soft, that's going to create that curvature in the spine, which is going to rapidly build up pressure points and discomfort. Back sleepers sometimes like a little more firmness, sometimes like a little bit more softness. So that's really one where you want to lie on your back for a few minutes at a time and really think, okay, what is this mattress doing to my back? Is it sinking down? Is it sinking up? And how is that making my body feel? But ultimately, again, we just want the spine to be in a line so that we're not getting pushed up, we're not sinking too far down, so that we can lie in the same position for an extended period of time, allowing us to get more restful sleep.
Okay, great. And what do I do if my partner is a back sleeper and I'm a side sleeper?
Sure. So in most cases, again, most people are around the same sort of firmness preference, but that's not always true. Sometimes, even if we are, both side sleepers or one's a side and one's a back, one partner may just love extra soft. Maybe they only weigh 120 pounds and they need something that has extra softness. Or maybe one partner weighs 280 and they've got to have something that's more like a medium firm or slight firm just to support their body weight. So one option is finding a compromise firmness, something that is sort of in the middle of each partner's respective needs. Maybe each partner doesn't get exactly what they want, but instead of, getting an extra firm sort of HD support for plus size and an extra soft, we get something in the middle and both partners are mostly happy. Another option is going with a split king with different firmnesses or different mattresses altogether. So a split king is two twin XL mattresses that are just side by side. A lot of individual brands will sell this, and you can buy a split king, sometimes in the same firmness, sometimes in different firmnesses. But you don't necessarily have to buy from the same. You could buy from two different brands. Again, for example, let's say one partner was 280 pounds and they need a plus size HD mattress. The other partner is only 120. We might want to go with different models so that we can get, again, the support that the heavier weighted person needs and the softness and the pressure relief that the lighter weighted person needs. A last good option is a sort of a smart bed with adjustable firmness where we can dynamically adjust the firmness on each side. So something like a Sleep Number, though there are a lot of brands that offer this where you're able to, you make the press on the button, it changes the pump, which changes how the mattress feels to get a little bit more softness, a little bit more firmness. So those are expensive choices, but a choice nonetheless.
Oh, wow. And how do they do that? Is it air?
Yeah, so there's some different technologies depending on the brand, but most of them it is an air pump. And so the more simple sort of lower end models just have one sort of giant sort of air tube that usually sits below multiple layers of foam. More sort of sophisticated brands I've seen are now using sort of multiple air chambers sort of interwoven with foam. So it still creates that sort of dynamic firmness, but it's a more sort of even support experience, especially when you're at the softest end of the spectrum.
Oh, okay. And it's interesting that you're talking about the split mattresses because I'm originally from Germany, and in Europe, people tend to have separate mattresses.
Yeah, the
It's a
splits are
very
really
common
nice,
thing.
but weirdly not as common here in the US. In super high-end beds, you'll see them more commonly, but I think it's definitely something worth considering, particularly in the case like this where you have very different needs. But even just to deal with motion transfer,
Yeah.
having two different mattresses with two twin XL side by side, you've got a physical gap in the middle, so motion just cannot transfer as easily.
Yes, you end up sleeping on gaps potentially, which is annoying, from experience. And there is people like there are companies that make these wedge thingies to overcome that gap, which doesn't. I find those don't work well.
Yeah.
it's a bit of a thing, right? But you want to have your sleep and you want it restorative. So I think if it's really these really big differences in weight or height, and then because of that, the weight, right? Or hot and cold and soft and firm, then it might be worth people are sometimes like, really, I don't want to do it. Like, really look into it. It's your sleep, right?
Yeah.
It's important. And if that is what's causing you to not sleep well, then it might be worth really looking into that and changing that. How are things like I'm familiar with things like chili pads and like these cooling toppers on top of mattresses, but there's also materials, right? Like if somebody is a hot sleeper, for instance, or generally just likes it to be cooler, what kind of materials would people be looking into, and does that really work?
Sure. So we have let's focus more on the mattress, and we can talk more about the sort of active cooling systems in a moment if you like. So within the mattress, we have a huge variety of potential materials. We have materials that are sort of infused with the foam, sort of gel, copper, titanium, cooling fibers. We'll have. In addition, we have phase change materials, sometimes that are sprayed on the cover, sometimes fibers that are woven into the cover, sometimes sprays that are on top of that top layer of foam, so the very most top layer, but just below the cover. And then we have sort of the just design elements of the mattress themselves. So having a thicker coil layer and less foam is simply less material that's going to be able to absorb and retain heat. In addition, certain types of foams just by their nature retain less heat. Latex is generally better than polyfoam. Polyfoam is generally better than memory-foam as far as sort of which are sleeping the coolest. So we have all of these different sort of cooling features and design elements and fabrics and sprays and infusions. And some of it's really difficult because cooling is something that most sleepers want, and brands recognize that, and so there's a lot of marketing spent into you know trying to tell a particular sleeper how cool a mattress is, and a lot of it just is kind of smoke and mirrors. Not every cooling material is great. Gel does reduce heat retention. However, not all gel is created equal. Just because it has gel doesn't mean it's enough gel. So even as I've tested so many models, and it is very hard for me to look at a mattress before actually testing and say, oh yeah, that's going to sleep cool or that's going to sleep warm, because it's a lot of the same sort of language being communicated in terms of the materials and the design and the different cooling elements that are incorporated. So I think certainly the price is always a good indicator. Um, if cooling is a must, you've got to spend a little bit more money because there's just no way for a mattress to utilize enough high performance cooling materials, while also being super budget friendly. So that 500, $600,000 mattress that's saying, "Oh, it's amazing at cooling," that's probably a little bit of puffery. But as we get into the 1,500, 2K range, that's a range where I'm more confident to say, okay, they have enough price here, enough budget that this could actually have enough sort of robust quantity and quality of materials that we could have a cooler sleeping experience.
Okay, and in terms of, I just want to, in terms of materials, like when we're saying like spray on, are those incredibly toxic?
So it's the sort of research is still sort of undecided.
Huh.
My gut tells me that yes, as we and I think the brands probably recognize that. I think in the last 10 years, we went from seeing those being sprayed directly on top of covers because it would create a noticeable cool to the touch feel. You would touch it and be like, oh, that's cool. We went from seeing those sprayed directly on the covers to now, if they are sprayed, they're usually on the top layer, so it's not like directly in contact with your body.
Mhm.
Or if there is some material on the cover, it is like a sort of a thermoregulating fiber or other type of sort of proprietary cooling fiber, which is probably, it's hard to imagine any sort of spray that feels cool that's directly on top of a mattress cover being not toxic.
Yes, and then you think about you're already hot, like you're sleeping there, you're in there for however many hours a night, right? Sweating potentially, and then reabsorbing
Yeah.
some of that material.
Yeah, so we're seeing less of that. So I think it's good for the industry in general to move away from any sort of chemical being sprayed on the top of the mattress. And the less chemicals, I think in general that they can avoid doing that, even on the very top layers, is going to be better. So those materials are becoming less common, but you do see them out there still.
Okay. And I guess like something like flame retardant is still that's still a big thing, right? That still has to be in a lot of them.
Yes. So flame retardants is an area where, we went, a lot of sort of toxic, sprays and chemicals, just sort of dousing the entire mattress to we sort of migrated to fiberglass, where sort of a fiberglass cover that would then sort of, melt and suffocate the fires. And then there was sort of a big blow up about that and a number of lawsuits where fiberglass was escaping from the mattress
Oh.
and, giving people rashes and all kinds of, health issues to we're seeing less and less of that, and brands are finding other ways to basically get the fire sort of federal standards that are not chemical and not fiberglass based. So wool is something that you'll often see, or sort of silica based, um, basically encapsulation of the mattress. Essentially, it just when that sort of the silica sort of is heated up, it melts and then suffocates the fire and prevents it from burning. So if there is a silver lining in terms of sort of the healthiness of mattresses over time, it's been good to see we move from again sort of this chemical based flame retardant that's sprayed on to fiberglass that now we're seeing other forms of fireproofing that are seemingly not as toxic as those earlier ones.
Great. So if I needed a new mattress, or if you need a new mattress, well, you have all the background information, but apart from like, where would you start? Would you generally say go to a store and try some stuff out and then potentially go online, or would you say people just shop online and then have it shipped to your home and try it? What would you recommend for people? Where do you start?
Yeah, if you already have a good idea of what your body likes, you say you kind of like a medium to medium firm feel. You know what positions you sleep in. You know your body weight and your preferences and your budget. For the most part, you don't really need to go into a store. If you are just totally unsure where to start, then yeah, go into a store, lie on some beds to at least get a sense of, okay, I like firm, or I like soft, or I like memory foam, or I like latex, to get just an idea of what is good for you. Uh, with that in mind, I think then you can really begin your search because you say, okay, I like this firmness range, or I have this budget, or I know I like these types of materials and the way they feel on my body. And so that usually is then enough to start sort of whittling down the field. To be fair, there is a lot out there. And, sort of when I was, really thinking about sort of NapLab and sort of how we help our readers sort of navigate all of these different brands and models. I really wanted to again use our data and build some sort of foundational tools to quickly help consumers find what's best for them. So we have spent a good amount of time and effort building these tools so that you can see all the mattresses we've tested and go in and say, click a button on a filter and say, okay, I only want medium firm, or I only want memory foam, and it's got to be less than 1,500. And immediately you've whittled down hundreds of mattresses into, a list of just a couple dozen,
Mhm.
and you can see exactly how each of those mattresses perform. You can see which had the best overall score, which is best at cooling or pressure relief or motion transfer, the factors that are most important to you. And then you've gone from, this pool of hundreds of mattresses and brands to just maybe, three or four that are really tuned exactly to what you're looking for.
Can we talk a little bit about material though? Because I think that is there's so many things out there, and that is like the hardest. If you're somebody who came from, I don't know, like a coil mattress, and all of a sudden you're like, well, we need something new. It's like, oh my God, where do I even start?
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have memory foam. Then there's people with latex. Then there's like, can you dissect those a little?
Absolutely. So let's sort of hit sort of the big four categories. So we have sort of coil mattresses, hybrid mattresses, memory foam mattresses, foam mattresses, and maybe one more latex. So five categories. So coil mattresses, these are your more traditional inner spring coil units, sometimes pocketed coil, but very much a coil feel. These are they have more bounce, they're usually cooler, and they just have a more traditional feel. So if you really like the type of mattresses that a lot of us grew up on, then, yeah, that could be a great choice. Hybrid mattresses, I think, is probably the best option for most sleepers. It offers the most balanced feel, the sort of most budget-friendly feel, and the highest sort of average overall performance at different pricing tiers. So if you just aren't sure what to buy, go with a hybrid. They are
What does hybrid
designed.
mean then?
Yes, I'm sorry. So a hybrid is just one or more layers of foam and a comfort layer on top of a spring layer. So it's not substantially different than a coil, except that it generally uses more foam to create a little more of that body contouring hug, whereas a coil mattress is going to have less of a hug feeling. Then we have memory foam. Let's say all fall memory foam. These obviously were very popular in the 90s and early 2000s, but they still have, sort of a sizable following. Memory foam is all about, sort of low motion transfer and a pronounced dramatic hug around the body. Some sleepers really love that hug and really just like the way they feel when they're sleeping on the mattress, but it's certainly not for everyone. So I think if you are unsure if you like the feel of memory foam, definitely try memory foam in person and make sure it's an all memory foam mattress because that's really going to help you understand like, okay, this feel is for me or not. Most of the time you will be able to tell within just a few minutes. Then we have sort of more, let's just say, unnamed foam. These are going to be ones that they're not memory foam, but they're not latex either. Usually these are polyurethane foam, which is the same as memory foam, except memory foam has sort of viscoelastic properties. So again, it's all about conforming and contouring to the shape, whereas just sort of a regular polyfoam mattress is creating some of that hug and contour. It's just not as dramatic as memory foam. So it still is trying to create lower motion, but it has a faster material responsiveness. So when you change positions through the night, it's quickly adjusting to your new position and where your body is lying. Whereas memory foam can take a little bit longer. The last one we have is latex. And in my view, latex is the most polarizing feel. People either really love it or really hate it. And it's the most different. It doesn't feel like any of these other mattresses. It's highly responsive, it's springy, it's bouncy. There's a more generalized contour, more almost like circular depression where your body is lying, as opposed to different types of foam, which create more of an exact contour to your shape. Latex is more, again, more general. Now, the benefits of latex is it's incredibly durable. Like latex mattresses can very easily last, 15 to 20 years if it's high quality, high performance latex. Latex is also generally cooler than many other types of foams, but it's also more expensive. So those are sort of the sort of five major sort of mattress types as sort of I think about them. If you are unsure, go hybrid. It's the most balanced, it's the most budget friendly. You get the most bang for your buck. The other types can work as well. You just really want to be sure that, if you're going with a coil mattress, that you really like traditional feel. If you're going with memory foam mattress, you want that body contouring hug. If you just need something as cheap as possible, then maybe a foam mattress is the way to go because that's just always going to be the most budget friendly. And if you are okay with the feel of latex and you want something more natural, more organic, then that can be a good option as well.
Yeah, and we actually like 5 years ago when we moved, we went for latex mattresses, and hadn't had any before, and I'm a huge fan, at least of the one that like
Nice.
it's nice. It feels really nice, and you're right, it is more cooling. The only I would say the disadvantage or something that people need to know about latex, it is so heavy.
So heavy. I have a latex sitting behind me that I was pulling up onto the frame right before I got set up. My goodness, it's just like 8 inches of solid
Yeah,
latex. It's
you do not move that by
probably
your like I can't. If like I can change the sheets and stuff, but could I move the mattress out of the room by myself? No, I couldn't.
nah. It took me 5 minutes to sort of pulling 10% of the mattress onto the frame. This 10%, they're just sort of they're heavy. They're very heavy. But that's part of the reason why they're so durable.
Yeah.
There's so much material within them. And yet they are a nightmare to move. So
Yes,
definitely bear that in mind.
absolutely. Um, so one question I had about the online shopping, because that's a big thing, right? You go, you sh order them online, they ship them nicely rolled up in these boxes. You can try them. Um, you can send them back.
Yes.
Is that like how easy is that? To me, that would be like, oh my God, I don't even like that latex one. They would have forget it. I would have not gotten that back downstairs and gotten FedEx to pick that up.
Yeah.
But like, is that something that generally works? The companies support that because they advertise it. The customer service for that is good.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think this is an area where the brands really need to do a better job because people think, oh, return, I'm sending it back. But what it means in actuality is the brand is going to send a courier to your home that's just going to pick up the mattress. Usually, they work with local charities to donate the mattress, and so that charity will come and take the mattress, and then they are able to distribute it to somebody in the community that's in need. Now, not every brand works like that. Some do have you ship it back. Though those are pretty rare and far between. And likewise, customer service can vary. I think most brands that offer this understand it is a key part of what they're selling. Being able to easily and quickly and painlessly return is critical. And so they want to make sure that the process is not painful. Certainly, some brands do it better than others, but when everything goes well, it's as simple as, making a call or an email saying, I'd like to return this. They get you scheduled. A donation, center comes, picks the mattress, you take the receipt, you send them a picture of the receipt, and it's done.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh no, and that's wonderful that they actually put them to use and not because if they all land on landfills, you know how
Yeah,
Amazon re
yeah,
handles their returns, that'd be disaster for the environment.
absolutely. And certainly some companies are doing that. But I think most companies want to try to have a local charity pick up whenever possible because number one, it's better for the environment. It's something that's not trash, and two, it generally costs them less than having to send a company to come actually trash the mattress. So, again, this is going to be an area where it varies from company to company, and then also sort of by city to city. If you're in a big city, it's going to be very easy to find a charity to pick up the mattress. If you live in a very small town in, rural Kansas, maybe not.
Maybe not. Um, was there ever like a surprising feature where you that you've tested or like a mattress where you're like, oh, this is never gonna work, or this is like brand new. I don't know if that's any good. And you were like really like this is a thing. Like I need this if I get my next mattress.
Yeah, so I think one of the most surprising for me was the 8 sleep pod system. So it's essentially a mattress topper that has flexible tubing woven into it. A pump sits on the ground that cools water and it sort of pushes this water through the tubing to create a cool surface. It can also heat up that water to create, essentially a heated mattress pad. I've tested every active cooling system on the market, and they're usually good. It's better than nothing, and yet the performance never lives up to the hype. The performance definitely did with the 8 sleep. It was truly an astounding level. It was cold at the maximum. It is a cold topper. So if you are somebody that sleeps hot and you just got to have the best, like it's a great option. To be fair, it's also, $2,500. It is sort of just stupid expensive. But it was impressive all the same.
Wow. And is it, are they, like you say, have these pumps and that's plugged, is it loud?
No, yeah, I felt it was pretty quiet, just some like very sort of, low decibel white noise. If you are super sensitive, you may find it, but if you're someone that sort of, sleeps with a ceiling fan on, it's certainly no louder than that.
Okay, great. And what are, apart from like cooling, what are trends? What are things that are either happening now that we need to know about, or things that you're seeing that are coming that the manufacturers are working on?
Yeah, so I think we talked about a few of them earlier with respect to sort of fire retardants. And so, sort of the move away from chemical fire retardants into fiberglass sort of happened, let's say a decade or more ago. But in the last sort of, several years, we've seen even the fiberglass sort of going away and manufacturers finding sort of healthier, non-fiberglass, non-chemical based flame retardants. So that's been great to see. In addition, we've really seen an explosion of hybrid mattresses in the last, 5 to 7 years. When sort of the sort of direct to consumer sort of revolution started, if you will, where all these companies launched, they were all basically selling like a 10 or 11-inch foam mattress, and those mattresses were good, but in general, a hybrid mattress is going to provide better overall performance, especially with respect to sort of cooling and edge support, which are critical factors. And so we've seen sort of materials advance to a level that they can make those hybrid mattresses, roll those in a box, and still sell them for very reasonable prices.
Mhm.
So that's been really interesting to see as well. Also, in sort of the last decade, sort of the decline of the memory foam mattress, if you will. Memory foam really had its heyday in sort of again the 90s and the early O's. And to be fair, it's still popular. Something, like 25% of sleepers, are looking for a memory foam mattress or something similar. And yet that number used to be massively higher. And so we're seeing sort of brands sort of invest less in memory foam. And again, they're trying to make sort of custom sort of formulations from polyfoam or hybrid mattresses, or they're using different foam types. But we're seeing less of the memory foam mattress specifically. And I think sort of to the nature of the polarizing feel, but also the relative cost to make sort of a high performance memory foam is quite a bit more than what it costs to make a high performance hybrid. So with a hybrid, you're able to just get so much better performance for less money compared to many other types of mattress.
Hmm. And is there anything like on the horizon that you're seeing?
Nothing that feels sort of like groundbreaking.
Mhm.
I think that the biggest groundbreaking thing in the last decade, again, has been the shakeup of the online mattress brand. We went from the only place to really buy a mattress was a department store or a specialty store. And the experience in there is less than great. You've got aggressive salesmen, and it's really expensive, and it's hard to know, and returns are terrible. To we've solved a lot of those issues where returns are better, and there's no salesman sort of in your face, and prices are far more reasonable. And I think that's put pressure on the sort of more traditional legacy brands to also kind of come up to that level to have a more reasonable trial period and refunds and prices that sort of make sense. And yet, a lot of those brands still have, many models where you look at the price and just like, this is $10,000. This is not a used Honda Civic. This is a bed. Like, there's just no way that this can make sense. But um, seeing again more competition in this space is only good for consumers and for sleepers because it's making again the older crusty players better, and then you have this whole new ecosystem of newer younger brands that are really pushing sort of what it means to be sort of a mattress company, and I think it's been greatly helpful to sleepers.
Do you think there is sleep tracking coming? Because I know some of the cooling device, like some of the cooling pads track, and they actually, we can discuss how accurate overall sleep tracking outside of a lab is, but like looking at things like comparing an Oura ring to what certain pads do,
Yeah.
the pads are actually pretty accurate.
Yes. So yes, I think there's already a lot of technology for sleep tracking, and it has really advanced in the last just 5 years here. So it's been really interesting to watch as well. But I think that only gets more sophisticated, it only gets less expensive, and it only gets just less sort of obtrusive to your life. Having something like a ring is going to be way easier, or just a simple pad that sits on top. That's definitely, I think, going to continue to advance and get better. As far as sort of what it tells us, I hope we're going to see more advancements there. A lot of times, you'll look at sort of the data, the analysis back from your sleep reports. It's like, oh, you were awake for 3 hours, or because you were rolling around, or you had this amount of deep sleep. I think sort of we'll see that analysis hopefully come into more sort of like actionable
Yeah.
recommendations. Like just knowing I'm not a deep sleeper. Okay, well, what can I do? Do I need to change positions or firmness or beds? Maybe I'll have a bed that recognizes my sleep patterns and is able to dynamically adjust in the night so that I can get more restorative sleep. Or a report that says, okay, well, we have all these sort of negative things happening in your sleep. Consider changing your diet. Consider, no screens after 10 p.m. Consider making some basic changes, and then you can monitor and then see, okay, well, I did these things. Is my sleep better now?
Yes, absolutely. I saw something the other day on TV, which is like a bit of an innovation, like a company, they were doing pillows. And they have this device that goes actually in the pillowcase under the pillow for people who snore, because
Mm,
often all you need to do is change position, but
yeah.
you don't notice, but your partner gets annoyed. So it's this little, it's kind of like a balloon that inflates, and with that, just a tiny bit changes how you're laying on the pillow. And mattresses could do the same thing if they have like just audio censoring
Yes.
something, and this could all, and for people with sleep apnea, like there's so many things where I think they could with technology
Yeah.
do really cool things in the mattress market.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's I hadn't seen it. That's very cool. Yeah, I mean, a simple sort of, yeah, auditory or physical cue in the mattress, a little vibration, a little thing that sort of,
Yep.
again, just enough to sort of uh, poke, sort of adjust your body so
Yeah.
then your body sort of moves position, and now that's no longer an issue. So that's
Yeah, so
wonderful.
no,
I
your
love to
partner
see that.
doesn't have to shake you, right? But it's like
Yes,
the mattress just moves.
yes,
One more question I had. How important, we have a great mattress now. How important is the bed? Like the actual frame and the support
yes.
structure underneath.
Critical. I would argue just as important as the mattress itself. So, um, let's sort of define the two. So we have sort of bed frames and bed foundations. The foundation is the actual sort of furniture that is supporting the mattress. So your headboard, your footboard, your aesthetic side rails, those are just aesthetic. So we don't need to worry about those. But the slats that are laying across there, or the platform, or the adjustable base, or whatever, or the actual sort of box spring, or the all wood foundation, bunky board, whatever type you have, that is critical. And we want that to, again, provide robust support for the mattress. That's going to make sure that the mattress performs at the highest level. And perhaps most importantly, it's going to extend the life and durability of that mattress. A foundation that is lower performance, lower materials, has slats that are too far apart, or otherwise just doesn't support the mattress is going to lead to a greater sort of body impressions forming on the mattress sooner, and those are going to be deeper. That's going to lead to sagging over time. So, sort of tragically, a lot of sort of the sort of negative feedback that I'll see over mattresses that are, even just a few years old, sleepers are saying like, "Oh, this bed is already sagging, already sagging, already sagging." That is the most common thing I always hear. And sometimes it is the mattress, but a lot of times it's a combination where that foundation isn't providing enough support for the mattress, and that's leading to the sort of premature and deeper sagging on that mattress. So definitely consider getting a higher performance foundation. The the more essentially end-to-end support you can have, the better. A platform bed, that is to say, a single solid surface, in my view, is the best because there's nowhere for that mattress to sag down. Versus sort of some of the worst are these sort of wire frames you'll see on Amazon a lot of times, where it's like these thin wire grids. You have just not enough material actually supporting the mattress. And so, you've got basically little void areas where the mattress sort of sinks down into, sinks down into, sinks down into. And those can be better or worse. We see the same thing with slats where, slats that are, 4, 5, 6 inches apart, that's too far apart because now we have a large chunk of the mattress that is sagging down. So we want slats that are close together, that are wide, that are rigid, that are not bowed. We want a rigid flat slat. And if it's not a slat, metal slats. The same thing applies to foundations and box springs. Those essentially are just boxes with slats.
Mhm.
So run your hand along the top of the fabric so you can feel how far apart those slats are. In a nutshell, everything as close together, as close to a platform bed as we can get. If you are stuck with a low performance foundation, consider just adding a sheet of plywood between the foundation and the mattress, which essentially turns it into something of a platform bed so that we have a single solid surface supporting the mattress.
Wow. Are we, because of the materials that are used today, are we not concerned about ventilation then anymore?
I'm less concerned about ventilation than I am support for the mattress. But
Okay.
you are right. If we can get both, great. And high performance platforms often will have very small ventilation holes to provide a little bit of airflow.
Hmm.
Um, but if the option is no ventilation versus weak support, I
No
would take
support. Yeah.
I would take the support to not have ventilation. Now, if you live in a very humid climate or otherwise there's a lot of moisture in the air, consider getting a full encasement waterproof mattress protector. That way, you're not worried about mold or water or moisture getting into the mattress, so the sort of breathability concerns are less of an issue. But definitely, if you can find a slat frame foundation that has ventilation and a high performance support, that's ideally what we're looking for. But I would say don't prioritize that ventilation over getting really good, robust support.
Awesome. Great. There's so much to, right? It's such a big, like, it's such a big field, right? There's so much out there. Um, Thank you so much. I saw you have something amazing on your website for people to even get started in this crazy madness of trying to find a mattress.
Yes, yes. So we have our mattress finder quiz. Basically, it's a quick form. You go in there a couple minutes, answer a few questions about your needs, your preferences, your budget, your body. That goes straight to me. I take that, I run that through my tools to provide an analysis of what specific mattress is best for you. I send that back to you in 24 hours. It's totally free. It's just a way, again, to quickly sort of, get through all the craziness of this space. Hundreds of brands out there. I sort of do the legwork for you to give you some ideas on which mattress is likely going to be the best fit for you.
Awesome. Anything else? Anything in terms of anything you wanted to answer, ask, say that I didn't pick up on, that I haven't asked, that you think people need to know?
I think we covered a lot. I think you hit on, I think, the most important, the most critical factors. I think maybe we touched on it a little bit earlier, but I think maybe the one thing I would leave is just make sure you're spending a decent amount of money to get a nice mattress. While price is not everything, there is sort of a price floor. If you can spend at least $1,000, that's going to be a substantially better mattress than what you're getting for, four or five, $600. And if you're able to get up to the $1,500 range for a queen, that's really where I view the sort of the sweet spot where you get sort of more and more and more sort of quality and materials and performance before sort of diminishing return begin. And maybe the last thing is know that while price is important, you do not need to spend 5 grand to get a great bed. After that $1,500 mark, you start to get progressively sort of less and less and less for your money. By the time we're over 2,000, $2,500, with very few exceptions, you're just paying for brand name. And so for the vast majority of us, for the vast majority of mattress types, there's really just no need to spend an insane amount of money because you can get a very robust, good, high quality mattress that's going to last, 10 years for around $1,500.
Yeah, and if you think about, right, yeah, that is money for sure. That's an investment, right? But it's like you're spending so much time in bed and you want to have that energy the next day and not wake up and have your body ache.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a
Um,
third of your life, You're
yes,
you're either in your bed, in your shoes, in your chair. Spend
exactly.
money.
Those should be up. That's a good one. Yeah, those should all be very comfortable and fitting you well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Derek, thank you so much. Um, where can people read all more about mattresses? Where can people find you?
So we're at naplab.com, naplab.com. We also have a YouTube channel if you prefer to watch videos. We have all kinds of tools, reviews, best of list comparisons, and of course, we have our mattress finder quiz. You can get immediate help within 24 hours. So you can visit us there.
Awesome. And I'll link the course below so everybody has it. Um, and thank you so much for what you do because it is such a craziness out there with this topic. And I think people just need to know that you exist because it is so helpful that you've done the legwork so people even know where to start. So thank you so much for taking
Well,
the
you're too kind. Thank you so much for having me on as a guest. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks so much. And thank you everybody for watching and listening. And we'll see you again shortly.
Bye.